FBI knew about Epstein's crime ring back in 1996 and did nothing about it. Oh yeah, and Jay-Z is plenty implicated in that file. Tell you about that in the latest Epstein Files bombshell.
Today is Thursday, February 12th, 2026. Just weeks after the massive release of Epstein's 3 million-page files on January 31st, 2026, a new conversation has emerged, and now 50 Cent's Netflix documentary steps into that dialogue. Part 2 of this story dives deeper. The Epstein files reopen questions about influence, secret meetings, elite networks, and private circles. Names were scrutinized, connections mapped, and systems challenged in his latest Netflix project. 50 Cent revisits these themes of power and secrecy, shedding light on hidden industry structures and placing figures like Diddy and Jay-Z back under public observation, not through direct accusations, but by highlighting patterns, closed-door gatherings, private alliances, and lingering questions. This video breaks down what 50 Cent presents, what the Epstein files reignited, and why the timing of all this couldn't be more critical.
Ever say they might kill you?
They threatened to. My little girl, who, when I left, was still at the house.
A friend?
Huh?
What little girl?
My little girl, Alex. She's about 4 now.
You mean you had a child?
Yeah.
How old were you when you had that child?
On January 31st, 2026, over 3 million pages connected to the Epstein files were made public, sending ripples through media, politics, and business communities. The sheer scale was overwhelming. These documents went far beyond names. They exposed the inner workings of elite networks, often operating away from public view in highly controlled settings. The reaction wasn't just about who was involved. It was about how power moved quietly, how decisions were coordinated privately, and how meetings unfolded without transparency. The startling part wasn't simply that powerful individuals met behind closed doors as expected. The real surprise was how systematically these spaces were shielded from scrutiny. And this is where 50 Cent's Netflix documentary, Part 2, enters the discussion. In this installment, 50 Cent shifts attention from headlines to private environments. The film explores gatherings that allegedly never appeared on public calendars. No press, no social media, no official acknowledgement. These were private rooms, scheduled carefully, attended selectively. According to the documentary's framing, these meetings weren't random, they were deliberate, controlled, and limited. The goal isn't to accuse, but to examine how influence often operates where visibility is intentionally restricted. The events shown leave little trace. No cameras, no documents, no digital footprints. Publicity wasn't the aim, privacy was. And when privacy intersects with power, questions naturally rise. The Epstein files reignited debate about how elite coordination can exist outside the public eye, revealing that influence often moves through personal relationships, favors, and conversations that never leave the room. Part 2 of 50 Cent's series highlights a similar dynamic in the entertainment world, not naming crimes, not making direct accusations, but showing how secrecy itself becomes a tool of control. When meetings vanish from public view, they avoid scrutiny. When attendees are carefully chosen, information stays contained. When records are avoided, narratives remain flexible. In these circumstances, secrecy isn't inherently suspicious, but it wields power. The documentary argues that in certain eras, influence in the industry wasn't about who performed on stage. It was about who had access behind closed doors, secrecy, not visibility. Defined influence, and today, audiences aren't only asking who was there, they're asking why some spaces were deliberately built to stay hidden. Part 2 opens by posing that question, not with judgment, but with context.
Jay-Z, you're just like Diddy. I can't stand your arrogant, condescending attitude. Nicki posted a video of you wearing a pink wig, and I retweeted it. Nothing more. You deserved it. Everyone knows about our feud. It's been going on for over 20 years. I've seen all your manipulation in the industry, from power struggles to cultural control. In 2015, when Tidal launched, Nicki helped you build it from nobody to a successful platform, and you immediately pocketed her $7.9 million in royalties. Lil Wayne was qualified for the Super Bowl, but you kicked him out of personal grudges. How is that any different from Diddy forcing his artists to sign unfair contract? Just because Nicki didn't align with him, he resorts to this kind of suppression. You're truly despicable. What's even more interesting is that right after I showed him and his father's photo in the documentary Sean Combs: A Reckoning, you immediately had your lawyer send me a warning letter saying I overstepped my bounds. When you wrote the lyrics to exonerate Diddy back then, why didn't you think about today? You say the film is malicious slander, but why don't you dare sue me for defamation? Because all the evidence I have is true. I haven't finished reporting the witnesses in my documentary, and I haven't released all the Tidal profit sharing documents. If you know what's good for you, pay back what you owe Nicki with interest. Don't wait until I make Jay-Z Reckoning 2, by which time even Beyonce's PR team won't be able to save you.
Jay goes, let's get it straight. Nobody's afraid of 50 Cent.
I want everyone to be clear. No one's scared of 50 Cent.
But at that point, his safe presentation, even the glasses, what the glasses represent? Intelligence, right? A nerd, maybe. What are some of the things that come along with you being a nerd? Like, don't hit a guy with fly. He's not identifying with the transition and difference and the perception of Jay-Z. Now he's really safe, and people feel comfortable with him because they know he's not going to do anything inappropriate or try not to. Meanwhile, when he's saying he's not afraid of 50 Cent, why would you have to make that clear when no one's ever asked me if I'm afraid of?
One of the most talked about aspects of the Epstein case wasn't only the documents or flight logs. It was the settings themselves, late-night meetings, private properties, and highly restricted gatherings where access was controlled and visibility was minimal drew attention. The Epstein files reminded the public that after-hours environments often function differently from daytime spaces. Rules shift, oversight diminishes, and networks can operate with greater freedom when cameras aren't present. In part 2 of his Netflix documentary, 50 Cent draws careful parallels not equating industries, but highlighting patterns. He explores a late-night culture in the music industry that exists outside public view. These weren't red carpet events, award shows, or media appearances. Instead, they were selective gatherings where presence implied trust. No press, no photographers, no official acknowledgement. The film suggests that certain personal and professional relationships were maintained privately, rarely appearing in public. This isn't presented as proof of wrongdoing, it's about distinction. Public persona versus private. Environment artists, executives, and industry figures carefully curate their public image through interviews, branding, and partnerships. But part 2 examines how private social spaces can operate independently from that image. The documentary also raises the idea that some personal or romantic relationships may have been intentionally kept out of the spotlight, not announced, not documented, not publicly discussed. Why? Because in high-profile industries, perception is as valuable as reality. The Epstein case highlighted how controlled environments shape narratives. Without cameras, journalists, or official records, interpretation becomes flexible. 50 Cent doesn't frame these parallels as direct comparisons. Instead, he focuses on structure, how after-hours spaces create insulation, how insulation fosters protection, and how protection allows networks to function without scrutiny. The key theme is in scandalates. Visibility. What occurs when environments are designed to remain unseen? What kinds of connections are formed there? And why are some relationships public while others stay private? According to the documentary, the distinction between daytime and after hours isn't just about time, it's about accountability. When visibility drops, control rises. In a post-Epstein files world, audiences are increasingly aware of how private spaces influence public outcomes. Part 2 emphasizes that to truly understand power, it isn't enough to watch the stage, you have to notice what happens after the lights go out.
Rapmore gang, things are looking bad for Jay-Z. It's been a couple of days now since Jay-Z's name got brought up in the Epstein files. They've been talking about Jay-Z, was he getting busy with these kids, with Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein? A lot of people have said it's a bunch of cap, okay, to be fair. It's of course 50 Cent, okay? 50 Cent posted, all right? He said, damn, they got your man Jay in the Epstein files. I gotta do a doc on this at 50 Cent Action. All right? Everybody's piling on. This is a good day for 50 Cent. He been waiting to put the boot into Jay-Z. But it wasn't just 50 Cent. One of Jay-Z's biggest and most long-running ops is, of course, Nicki Minaj. And she set the internet on fire with a storm of tweets calling out Jay-Z for some nefarious behavior that didn't even occur on Epstein Island, okay? She posted, said Trevor refuses to come out the closet when everyone in the industry knows his boyfriend, allegedly, right? She posted Nicki was right about everything. She on a MAGA run right now, and she posted these very, very suspect images of Jay-Z with young women, okay? I'm pretty sure that's Aaliyah. Jay-Z age 26 and 15. Age 27, I'm pretty sure that's Beyonce, and they're saying that's 96, this is 97. So they're saying ain't no way anything could be going on with Jay-Z.
One of the most striking takeaways from the Epstein file release on January 31st, 2026, nearly 3 million pages wasn't just the sheer volume, but the pattern it revealed. Powerful individuals often maintain public distance from controversial networks, even while private connections appear in documents, flight logs, or witness accounts publicly detached, privately adjacent. That pattern changed how audiences view celebrity proximity in part 2 of his documentary. 50 Cent examines a similar dynamic in the entertainment world. He doesn't present confirmed wrongdoing. Instead, he explores alleged private connections among celebrities that were rarely visible to the public. The focus isn't on guilt, it's on proximity, public distance versus private familiarity. High-profile appearances, red carpets, interviews, collaborations are carefully curated. But what happens behind the scenes? The documentary suggests that certain relationships operated quietly, recognized within insider circles, but never publicly acknowledged. That doesn't prove misconduct. But it raises questions about how image is controlled. After the Epstein files, many viewers became more aware of how powerful figures can appear uninvolved in public, while navigating private networks behind the scenes. It acts as a reputational firewall. 50 Cent highlights a broader pattern when controversy nears. Visibility decreases when scrutiny rises. Distance is emphasized when allegations surface. Language becomes measured. In the film, alleged connections are discussed cautiously, not as confirmed facts, but as narratives circulating privately. The emphasis is on how quickly mechanisms of image protection activate. Reputation is currency, and safeguarding it often means controlling who is seen publicly, which photos appear, and which stories are left untold. Controlled appearances aren't accidental, they're strategic. It's not necessarily about hiding crimes, it's about managing risk. In a post-Epstein files world, audiences are more attuned to how power and visibility intersect. Public distance doesn't always mean private absence, and that awareness reshapes how narratives are interpreted. Part 2 doesn't accuse, it observes. It shows how patterns of image protection can create suspicion even without legal conclusions. In industries built on perception, perception alone can redefine reputations. The underlying message is clear when influence is high, appearances are deliberate, and the gap between public persona and private familiarity often tells the real story. Subscribe to Star Chamber for more insights and analysis.